Crystal Palace have just won the FA Cup, and it is what? Their first major trophy in their history. Their first major trophy in their history, and thanks to Eberechi Eze. And I think as a Palace fan, this is one of those moments that you'll never forget. This is one of those special moments that you'll never forget as a fan, man. Because going to Wembley against Manchester City in a cup final, everybody thought that Manchester City is going to win this one. This is one of those fixtures that it is David against Goliath. Everyone is viewing Manchester City as the Goliath and Crystal Palace as the David. But luckily, and that way, I think it was not lucky. It was just one moment of brilliance from Crystal Palace. Munoz, who was really brilliant. Mateta was really brilliant. Eberechi Eze with a very good finish. Past Ortega, and just like that, boom, they're back defending. A very piece of defensive, scoring a goal in the 16th minute, then defending for all that minute against Manchester City. And even the fourth official added 10 minutes, but also Crystal Palace held on in those 10 minutes because they knew this was our moment. If we fumble this one, we might not get a moment like this in our entire history. So let's hold on to it and make sure these Palace fans get at least something, man, because they deserve it. And that means what? They have won the FA Cup, European football next season, celebration for Crystal Palace fans. I saw a video of a 70-year-old Crystal Palace fan who said that I did not believe this happened, man. I've been supporting this club for 70 years and I've never seen them winning a silverware. So this moment was an absolute moment of brilliance from Crystal Palace. All those players, especially Oliver Glasner, congratulations to them, man. They have shown that even small clubs, they can win trophies. They have shown all it takes, it is just make sure you work your way to the final. Even if you meet the giant team in the Premier League, because you know Crystal Palace is a mid-table team. No disrespect, but you cannot compare Crystal Palace to the teams like Manchester United, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and all those teams in Big Six, the likes of Arsenal. You cannot compare them, but the fact that they have went on and won a trophy, and they have not just won a trophy against any side, it was against Manchester City. So this was a moment of brilliance from Crystal Palace, man, and congratulations to them. And I said it at some point, the most realistic way for these small clubs to play in Europe, it is they have to try and at least win the FA Cup. After winning the FA Cup, definitely you get direct qualification to play in the Europa League. If you are lucky enough, win the Europa League and play the Champions League. That is the most realistic way that the clubs like Fulham, clubs like Crystal Palace themselves, clubs like Everton, Brighton, all those small clubs, this is the most realistic way for them to get European football. Because I don't see in any way that teams like Crystal Palace, they can get a top 4 finish. They can work hard in the season, get a top 4 finish. They can work hard in the season, but the teams that are in the Premier League, they are very brilliant. The quality of the teams in the Premier League, the likes of Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and all those, though Manchester United and Tottenham this season have not been playing good, but we know also the quality of football that they play and the quality of the team can guarantee them European football. So for this team to get European football, they have to win these tournaments, and now Crystal Palace have won the tournament. It means that at Selhurst Park, for the first time in their history, they will be singing the Europa League anthem and they will have European nights at Selhurst Park. And going into the game, it was almost like Manchester City dominated the first 16 minutes of the game, because Crystal Palace scored a goal in the 16th minute. But before that goal, Manchester City were absolutely dominant. I even thought that it was going the way that everybody expected. Manchester City knocking every time. Crystal Palace have sat behind just defending. But as the commentator said one thing, Crystal Palace is a team that is sitting behind. But the moment it gets a break, it may be something else. Then boo, Crystal Palace get a break, a very good hold of play from Mateta, then releases the ball to Munoz. Munoz, a very brilliant cross into the box, and a very neat finish from Eberechi Eze, past Ortega, and just like that, wow, Crystal Palace are 1-0 up. And you look at their fans, the way they're celebrating, it is like, this is our day, man. These players should not fumble this. These players should not fumble it. And just like that, they go on and win the game. But there was one moment of spotlight, man. Dean Henderson just touched the ball outside the box. And according to the rules, if a goalkeeper touches the ball outside this area, that is a direct send-off. That is a direct red card. but the VAR, they went to the VAR and they checked that. I don't know what happened. Maybe because it was a cup final and they didn't want to distract the game, because in early minutes of the game and another team gets a player sent off and in a final, obviously you expect a team like Manchester City against Crystal Palace, of course the final will be one-sided, but that should be a send off. I don't know the rules. Maybe there's a loophole somewhere or there's an adjustment to the rules, but as far as I know, that should be in a send off, man. Dean Henderson should be a send off. But Dean Henderson, again, he was classic. Apart from that one mistake, touching the ball outside the box, which the referees overlooked, Dean Henderson was absolutely brilliant tonight. And Manchester City are 1 goal down. Then Mitchell makes a very silly tackle in the box. I don't think if there was any need to make that tackle inside the box, man, because there's no way Bernardo Silva was going to cross that ball, and Bernardo Silva was almost like going down. So there was no way Bernardo Silva was going to score that goal or make an assist. But it happened, and it is a penalty. And the Erling Haaland is holding the ball. Erling Haaland is holding the ball, and as you all know, Erling Haaland is a little striker. Erling Haaland is brilliant in front of the goal. Then all of a sudden, it's like Erling Haaland is taking, when everything has settled down, the dust has settled down, it is clear, it is a penalty. Then you see Erling Haaland taking the ball to Omar Mamouche, and I'm asking myself, Erling Haaland is one of the best goal scorers in the world. Erling Haaland is one of the best strikers in the world. Why is he taking the ball to Omar Mamouche? We know Omar Mamouche has had a brilliant season scoring goals, but the penalty taker for Manchester City has to be Erling Haaland, because of the experience he has and the number of goals he has scored for the club. But anyway, if I think it was a direct request from Pep Guardiola or any other guy in the Manchester City room staff, but that was not cool at all, man. I think Erling Haaland should have taken the penalty. Then you see Omar Mamouche stepping up. It is a big stage, and you can see it in his eyes, man. Omar Mamouche is not just confident that I'm going there to score this penalty. You could see it in Omar Mamouche's eyes, and he steps on, and a very good save from Dean Henderson to save Crystal Palace lead. And just like that, Crystal Palace continue leading, man. And they went on and win the game. But a guy who was phenomenal in the semis, a guy who was really brilliant in the semis against Aston Villa, has shown up today in the final against one of the biggest team, or one of the team which has been brilliant in Europe this season, Manchester City. And that gets Eberechi Eze. Eberechi Eze, the likes of Wilfried Zaha did not give Crystal Palace success. The likes of Michael Olise left Manchester City and went to Bayern because of trophies. But Eberechi Eze, after getting interest from some of the big teams in Europe, in the Premier League also, he decided to stay at Crystal Palace. And you have saw what loyalty has done to him. He's the guy who has carried Crystal Palace single-handedly and gave them their first ever major trophy. Crystal Palace fans will never forget that name. I know Michael Olise won the Bundesliga, but if you ask me, I'll tell you this. Eberechi Eze winning the FA Cup with Crystal Palace this season, I think it is a more success than Michael Olise winning the Bundesliga with Bayern Munich, in a league where Bayern Munich wins it every day, man. I will any day take the FA Cup that Eberechi Eze won over the Bundesliga that Michael Olise won, man, because that was brilliant from Eberechi Eze, leading this team their first major trophy. There's no better feeling than that, man. Even at the final minute when it was the referee blowing the final whistle, you could see Eberechi Eze was like, wow, I've always dreamed of this moment, and it is finally here, and it has finally happened. I've led my team Crystal Palace to the first major trophy in their history. First major trophy in their history, and you are the main man. Nobody will ever forget you, man. Even the fans, nobody will ever forget you in Crystal Palace history. The kids who are supporting Crystal Palace, the youths, the elders who support Crystal Palace, any day they think about their first major trophy, the name that will be coming to their mind, it is Eberechi Eze. And again, another player who I think did brilliantly today, it was Jean-Philippe Mateta. Since Oliver Glasner came to Crystal Palace, have been really brilliant. Another guy, I think it is Munoz. Munoz was really good. Richards getting rid of those crosses that Manchester City were putting in, Kevin De Bruyne putting in. But the question goes to Manchester City. It is about Manchester City. Where are they going from here? Where is Manchester City heading to from here? That is the big question. Because the way Guardiola set his team today, I think it was not brilliant. The way Manchester City are playing this season, it is like they are afraid of making the tough decisions. They are afraid of like making the risky passes. They are sometimes afraid of the game going forward. They are afraid of shooting. They make wrong passes like in the most critical moments of the game, where they should just make the final pass and go to make a goal. That is the problem that Manchester City are having this season, and I don't know how that it happened, because just last season Manchester City was a very brilliant team, but this season that those players, like their quality has just definitely gone down, and I think it all comes down to the players who performed really good last season, and this season they have been available or they are not performing as per the expectation. The first one is Phil Foden. Phil Foden coming out today was very bad. Phil Foden came from the bench today and was really bad, man. I've never expected to see Phil Foden play bad football as I've seen him play today, man. Phil Foden, he has to find his feet and get back to playing football. Another guy is Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne, I think today he was the most creative player in that Manchester City team, and again he was not brilliant. That shows you what Manchester City, the quality of players that they have, it is low at the moment. The guy who was not brilliant in that team, the guy who has not played as per the expectation, the Kevin De Bruyne you all know, and somehow he was one of the best players in that Manchester City team. He was the guy making those risky passes, and he was not the best Kevin De Bruyne you all know. But you ask them, they say it all comes down to Rodri. Rodri has not been playing this season, and that played a crucial part for their losses this season. But yeah, Rodri has not been there. That is true. Rodri was a very brilliant player, a Ballon d'Or winner. But I don't think, even if you bring Rodri today in this Manchester City team, it will be the solution and Manchester City will just come back and start winning games, man. I don't think Rodri will bring that magic and they start winning those games like the way they used to, man. This Manchester City problem are beyond Rodri. This Manchester City problem are beyond the players. I think Josep Guardiola has to go back to his drawing board and make sure he looks where he gets it strong and try again next season to get it right, because at the moment Champions League football, it is must and it is mandatory for Manchester City. They have to win all the remaining games for them to qualify for the Champions League next season, which I think for that they will do good in the Premier League and they will win their games. That is brilliant. But again, let's not make this video about Manchester City. Manchester City are the losers, and Crystal Palace, they have won their first ever major trophy in their history. And another guy I almost forget to talk about him, and it is the Crystal Palace coach, Oliver Glasner. Oliver Glasner, when it comes to Crystal Palace, he mentioned one thing. These players, they are not the type of players that I have to use a back four. I have looked at the team, I have assessed the team, and this guy should play back three, and he's playing back three, which is quite opposite to my manager Ruben Amorim, who when he came to Manchester United is that guy who is obsessed with the system. These guys have to play 3-4-3. These guys have to play 3-5-2. These guys have to play 3-4-1-2, 3-4-2-1. Excuse me. He's kind of obsessed with the system. But Oliver Glasner came to that team. I changed the players, the likes of Jean-Philippe Mateta. You see the likes of Richard playing really good. McGuire, very brilliant. We have the likes of Adam Wharton. Adam Wharton at the midfield playing very good. Manchester City spent 200 million for Nico Gonzalez in January, but the Guardiola did not start him, and Adam Wharton at that midfield was really dominating, man. So congratulations to Crystal Palace again for winning your first major trophy. That was good. That was brilliant, and I think you have shown these other teams, the likes of Wolves, Fulham, Everton, West Ham, Nottingham Forest, all those other mid teams in the Premier League, that you can make it to the final and it only needs 90 minutes for you to secure your first trophy. And I've been hearing talks that this season is an underdog season. You look at Bologna, they had not won a trophy in 71 years. They beat AC Milan in the final and they win it. Harry Kane had not won a trophy for 31 years, he has won it. Crystal Palace had not won a trophy for 31 years, he had won it. Now the question is the Europa League final, Tottenham against Manchester United. We know in this game going, the guy who has not won the trophy for the longest period, it is Tottenham. But I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm rooting for Tottenham to win. Manchester United, it is my team, and I wish for them to win the Europa League. And I'll make a pre-match video of the Europa League and Champions League just in a few days. But thanks for watching. Salute.